Hi everyone, so we are going to do a mindset check-in today, and this is a really good exercise that you can do on a weekly basis just to check in with yourself, see what steps that you could put in place to help you to move forward. So the first part of this is that I want you to think about 5 things that have been good over the past week. Now, these do not have to be big eventful things. They can be little things like you have ticked something off a list, that you've put a load of washing on, that you've been on a walk, literally anything at all. Now, the reason that I want you to think about 5 things that have been good to start with is because when we start to look for what has been good and the things that we have achieved, 2 things. So firstly, our brain starts to look out for more of these things. So we all have what is called a negative bias, and this is there to protect us from danger. So in primitive times, we used to have this working all the time to keep us safe from threats. Day-to-day life now, modern day life, it's not necessarily helpful. We don't need it kicking in as much. So we can tend to get caught up in looking for everything that isn't going well, everything that we're worried about, everything that we're not achieving. And in turn, we create more and more stress hormones. Whereas actually, if we start to look for the little things that have been good, over time, we end up finding more of those things. And then what happens as a result of that is that we create more of the good neurotransmitters in our brain, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, etc., that help us to cope and manage better and feel more in control. So that's the reason why I ask you to think about those things to start with, and you can start to do that on a daily basis as well. You can start to look for a few little things that have been good and just make a note of them. It's a really helpful practice. So, second part of this mindset check-in. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the highest on that scale, which would be you feeling in a really good place, coping well, managing well, content, happy, where you want to be. That is not euphoria, that is just life's okay, I'm managing, I'm good, there is crap going on, but I can handle it, I've got all my things balanced out and I'm good. 0 being completely the opposite end of the scale, so completely rock bottom. I want you to take a moment to think about where you would put yourself on that scale of 0 to 10 right now. So just make a note of it, have a think about it. And once you've got that number, next thing, I want you to imagine that a magic wand is going to be waved over you tonight. And over the next week, once that magic wand has been waved tonight, you notice that you have gone up a little bit higher on that scale. So you've gone up to the next score. So say you were a 5, you've gone up to a 6. I want you to think about, if you were that next step up on that scale, what would be the first thing that you would notice that would have changed or that would be different to show you that you had gone up a little bit higher on that scale? So just have a think about that. Now, obviously I'm not there with you right now, so I can't guide you completely through this. Everybody's thoughts and answers are going to be completely different for this. If you have come up with something in your head like, well, I would be happier, I would be more relaxed, I want you to have a little think about, well, actually, if you were happier, if you were a little bit more relaxed, if you were more content, what would show you that? What would you be doing a little bit more of? What would it be done for you to feel more relaxed? At what point in the day would you feel a little bit more relaxed? Really kind of break it down a little bit more. So would it be that you'd have a little bit more time to yourself? Would it be that you'd ticked something off a list? What particular thing would show you that you felt that feeling? Some of you may have naturally gone to something that would have been done that would show you that you actually were a little bit higher at that scale. So it might be that you've on the next set of weights at the gym. It might be that you've gone out for a walk at lunchtime. It might be that you have got the washing done, that you've cleaned the house. And now start to break it down even smaller. So what's the first step that you could see yourselves taking to get towards that number on that scale? So would it be that actually you need to start going for that walk at lunchtime just to get away from your laptop? Would it be that you need to build in a little bit more time for yourself? If so, how are you going to start to do that? Is it going to be that you're going to block out a particular time in your diary? If so, what are you going to do? So break it down really small and just think about what is the one little thing that you can see yourself doing over the next week that is going to move you closer to that next number on the scale. I want to remind you at this point that thing that you've come up with probably isn't going to be an easy thing to do. If it was, then you would already be doing it. But what I do want to remind you of is that actually, once we've taken that first little action, our brain sparks that dopamine, and we then start to feel good that we've taken that action, and we're much more likely to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So just break it down, small steps. What's the first thing that you can see yourself doing over the next week to get you up a little bit higher on that scale? And this mindset check-in that we've gone through today, you can refer back to it at all times. And if you need a little bit of a check-in, if you need to kind of work through your next steps, kind of think about what you could start to do a little bit differently, then you can come back to this video. Hope that helps.